Hello, and welcome to In Your Head, the podcast examining all things mental health related. I'm your host, Bassem El-Gwabi. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about my personal motivation in becoming a mental health advocate and how I've learned to raise my voice more and more, in large part due to creative expression and writing poetry. So let's get right into it. I'm going to read a few pieces of my writing throughout this show, and maybe it will give you a glimpse into what drives me when it comes to advocacy. Firstly, here's a short and somewhat sad creative piece I wrote back in March of 2000. There once lived a boy who was quiet and serious in demeanor. He always had ambitions to achieve more, but never quite understood what for. He was quickly introduced to the external battle which takes place on this earth, and one internal was given birth. Torn between what he was and what he wished to be, he was put in a situation of doubt and longing. Seeing himself through the eyes of being compared to those around him, all which was good and just was unveiled to be nothing more than lies. The irony of the situation is that if the sun arose tomorrow and all these things elusive to his reach became his, he would probably realize that they were illusions of supposed contentment. The truth of the matter is that even among all the superficial pleasures this life has to offer, when the silent calm of darkness overtakes him, he is alone. Is he destined to be alone? He cannot bring himself to become who he wants to be, for he is deeply conflicted. Another day is coming to an end, and the struggle continues. I was 20 when I wrote that piece, and truth be told, things did seem to improve in the next year or two. But the volatility of mental illness and environmental factors were still trying and sometimes felt crushing for years after that. When I was 26, I think a lot of things started to change. As I put renewed effort in my personal development training, spiritual renewal, learning coping techniques, and a decision to resume academics in earnest. But make no mistake, storms still came and can still come, but it's a matter of being able to ride them out better and use what I've learned to try and put things in perspective. And now another piece written in 2013. This one reflects my determination to add my voice to the chorus of other mental health advocates and coincides with me building relationships online in both support and advocacy groups. An activist anthem. If words could bleed, then these words would lead and leave an indelible mark on the reader's psyche. For make no mistake, you've stumbled upon a reverse prison break. I've stormed the asylum in order to set free the mindset that bipolar should be some sort of confinement into a life of upsetting regrets. I've had just about enough of the silent treatment that society gives to mental illnesses, except of course when they're doing a caricature, stereotype, or playing the celebrity diagnostic wheel. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's time for our voices to become as loud as our numbers reflect. And if we fear pain, the pain of not moving forward is one we know well. So this is an activist anthem, a sounding of the sirens, and a channeling of a volatile mind towards what it believes is one of the great causes of our time. Mental health awareness, bringing the world to understand the instability on which it stands, and that by recognizing this issue, it's taking a step towards mature self-awareness and addressing the ills that we all face in this time and place. I think it's a good step, but it's not enough just to talk between ourselves. We need to reach out to the mainstream, albeit with the sacrifices that it could mean, for our collective good and the very fiber of our well-being. So march forth, unsheath your potential sword. You are adored by your fold, and by a world that needs to hear your story told. I'll share one more piece I wrote in the last year that continues to reflect what's driving me forward as it relates to this topic. Let's build a momentum they can't ignore. I have a dream, a vision, and an inkling of something greater that could be. I know in my heart that if I overcome my fears and supposed limitations, I could play a part in making it a reality. I reckon we are all here at this moment by no accident of fate and circumstance, but rather we are here to fulfill our great potentials and inspire others to advance. We may stumble on our tactics in finding the right words. We may make mistakes in how we present our case or have it heard. But the mission is a worthy one, and if we stick to it, there's no reason it can't succeed. The time for chipping away is over. We are here to make breakthroughs. We don't need the mainstream or its media to turn the tide in our favor. The grassroots, the social sphere, the tools at our disposal can build a momentum they can't ignore. Why should I speak in hushed tones about this cause, about breaking down the barriers of stigma and its unwritten laws? I could try and separate my identity, divorce myself from the label, and blend into normalcy. Maybe I would get further ahead in the traditional sense by leaving this responsibility to someone else. For to combat stigma for the collective, stigmata might have to be my personal fate, unless I can network with those already on the front lines and help recruit others from both the inside and out to participate. Well, this has been more of an episode of In My Head, but I thought it was important to share a bit about why I'm hosting this podcast in the first place. Having a mental illness is just one of the informing factors that makes up my identity, for better or for worse, and for my own reasons, I think it's more of a blessing than a curse. Though during a rough episode, it's hard to view it that way. Anyways, as I approach what I think will be my last foray into higher education, for a good while anyways, in this digital and evolving world, it seems we have to continually learn, whether formally or not. I have a renewed sense of motivation and optimism about what the future holds. To summarize a quote by the late Steve Jobs, I'd like to make a positive dent in the universe. Thanks for tuning in to In Your Head. Until next time, this is your host, Bassem signing off.